Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday. Jules and I are already having fun. It's Thursday, July 16th. We are usually kind of creeping over to the second half of July. My name's Kelly Maltzel, and I'm the CEO and owner of Beyond Indigo Pets. Today we have Dr. Jules Benson, and he's from Nationwide Pet Insurance, and he and I have a lot of laughs together. Thanks, Jules. Thanks for coming.
I'm very glad to be here. As I told you earlier, I only just made it. I had a little bit of an almost disaster in the wilderness when I got a flat tire on my bike this morning. So I'm thankful to A, be alive, and B, be here with you.
Right, there's a lot of gratitude today, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Maybe just sitting here with a cup of tea or your favorite beverage, not so bad, right? It's awesome.
It's pretty good. Life's not bad at all.
It's put into context today. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, we are kind of talking about life with pet insurance a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of pet insurance going on with all the animal adoptions. It's a crazy world out there. We were talking about that, like, oh my gosh. Do you have any insights since COVID about like trends in pet insurance or kind of what, this crazy time is showing up with that?
So yeah. So there's a few different theories that we have knocking around at the moment. So I think first of all, I think a lot of people, we know that pet insurance is something that there's a lot more awareness than there is purchase at this point. So we think some of it is really just that people are at home and they have the time and there's a conversation and they're with their pets. So I think, Nationwide is one of only two human animal bond certified companies. And so a large part of our work is looking at, okay, how do we foster this mutually beneficial human animal bond relationship? And I think people being at home with their pets, whether they're working or not, they have much more time to appreciate their pets, especially if they're stuck with their kids. Their pets might be the preferred mammal at that point, right? So, or or
Exactly. Yeah.
non-mammal, because or non-mammal, because we do have policies for exotic pets as well. But I think people have looked at the situation and said, okay, well, goodness, public health is in such focus as well, and I've always meant to look at pet health insurance, and maybe it's just having the time to go online and say, oh, actually, this is a great idea. So definitely seeing that. Obviously, we know about this surge in adoptable pets or adopted pets, and we know that the shelters are having trouble, keeping pets, in the shelter, which is awesome, fantastic. It means what an awesome silver lining to a really awful situation.
Right.
And the third, I think, is really just again this emphasis on people having, people spending time with their pets and just realizing how important that bond is to them, and that they never want to be in a situation where they have to make financial decisions versus medical decisions. They want to, they don't want that to be the same decision. They want to be able to say, okay, let's forget about the finances, let's make the medical decision, and let's leave the financial decision to later because we have the pet health insurance in place.
Which is such a gift. Because those
Yeah.
moments come up, like when my dog ate not one raisin, but apparently 30, and it always happens when you're not looking, especially between the dog and the kid is always a lovely arrangement for those sort of disasters.
Yeah, I mean, we just moved to Southern California, and we made the suburban mistake of joining Nextdoor, which is
Oh,
just it's heaven and hell in close proximity in a mobile app, which is wonderful. But there's so many. I mean, obviously, people and their pets. As a veterinarian, that people are crazy about their pets, but just the disproportionate amount of posts on Nextdoor that are about people's pets. Like, what do I do about this? Yeah, and the number of pets that go missing. I mean, again, having worked with microchip companies, is something that we always talk about. But the number of pets that go missing in the suburban area we live in is just startling. And just knowing what happens, and then getting used to coyotes. Apparently, around here, pets get attacked by coyotes. It's like I don't even know where we are now. We're in this this crazy, very suburban area in Southern California, and suddenly our 11-pound dog is in danger of being a coyote snack. So all those things, with all the worry that goes on, not having to worry when you do have to go to the vet, whether it's emergency or really frankly, from a veterinary point of view, even worse if it's a chronic disease or if it's a disease process where there's going to be a longer tail, like an oncological process, a cancer, or an orthopedic situation. I think people get very it's easy to get emotional, and it's very relevant when you think about the emergencies that happen. But as a veterinarian, knowing the cost behind some of the illness stuff and the chronic disease stuff, diabetic pets, Cushingoid pets, any kind of metabolic disease, any kind of cancer, really, any kind of long-term surgery, any kind of orthopedic situation, all those things can just, again, it's this double-edged sword of we have so much cool stuff that we can do now in veterinary medicine. It's ever advancing, and I think people get concerned when they hear how much you can spend, and they think that pets are charging more, and it's not that vets charging more. It's that every year we get new capabilities, new drugs, a lot of things that filter over from human medicine that we get into veterinary medicine. We run about 5 or 10 years behind usually, but all those things are great and they lead to better outcomes for our pets, but they do come with a price tag.
They do, because veterinarians have expenses too. They don't get a kit for free to do any medical procedure and then make 100% profit off of that. So they have supplies and they have humans they need to employ. And it's hard because, you get all emotionally tangled up. And even more so, you and I have been hearing about veterinary hospitals that are dealing with really crappy, upset people. Well, it's because emotionally we start our day, our bandwidth is taken up with the background noise of the world. And then you throw in an emotional moment with the pet, just to have the financial aspect taken care of that and take that emotional stress off your plate is, like that old MasterCard commercial, priceless, right? So not only that, but you and I were talking before the show about wellness, just general wellness care, kind of like what you guys are finding out. So you want to talk about a little wellness and kind of policies and things.
Yeah, I think there's an historical perception that wellness is something that we all know is coming and that we know we should be able to budget for, and I think that that's right. We all should be able to budget for the things that we know are coming down the road. Like, I know that I'm going to have to get my 60,000 mile service this year, and it's going to be X $100, but I'm not that organized to say, okay, I know that's coming, I'll just deal with it when it comes. So I'm not very good. And I think a lot of people are like that with their pets as well. So now we have all these great, things like preventives, like the new isoxazoline drugs, which are amazing and, kill fleas and ticks faster than anything else before. So we get all this innovation, and they're tablets instead of the spot on. So it's all convenient. The blood work that we recommended in geriatric pets, like all these things, we don't necessarily think about exactly what's going to happen at our wellness checks. And so I think a lot of people see value in saying, let me take that off my mind and roll that into the insurance side of things as well. And we certainly see when we give people the option between here's a product without wellness and here's a product with wellness, they really gravitate towards the wellness option, because I think they just want to see everything taken care of, not have to have that concern about, I know it's a lot of money, so I'm happier just letting Nationwide take care of that for me and just deal with the with the over the year, knowing I have a monthly payment that's reliable.
Right, because your budget is set then, and then also you get to choose your deductible too, which has value because you can choose it for whatever fits your own personal budget, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not, and again with the whole pet plans, you're not worrying about what it is that your vet's going to recommend, because 90% of everything is covered. So right. it's that level of security where they say, what, your dog is now 8. I think we should do some geriatric blood panels just to get a good baseline, because if something happens from now on, then we'll know. It's like, okay, that's cool. $150. That's great because it's covered by the insurance.
I read at some point, and I haven't looked at this number lately, so this may be out of date, but somebody did a study a few years back that pet owners who had pet insurance would spend 40% more at the veterinary hospital. And so I don't know if that needle has moved on that number or changed in any way, but it's true because they don't think about it. Like they aren't trying to figure out their budget while doing the medical care, while trying to have an emotional moment with Fluffy,
Yeah, and it's funny. So yesterday, AVMA and MSU have a joint study that they performed a few years ago, and they just released a paper on it, which said the same thing. So that the insured pets spend more. And again, they didn't go into why that happens. It was actually a survey, so it was that insured pet parents would feel comfortable spending more. So it gives you that level of security to say if there's an event that is an unexpected event that is $5,000, it's not something that I'm going to worry about as much as if I didn't have pet health insurance. So that was the kind of the comparison they made, and certainly the studies we've done in the past, and we're updating some of those studies this year actually. But certainly, um, the pet parents visited the vet more, and they spent more as well at the vet. So again, this is the idea around it's we when we have sick pets, we will often hold back and say, how sick are they really? So we know that they go in more often. We also have our a vet helpline. So if people have a question, this teletriage service, and they say, okay, well, my pet's eating raisins. Um, do I know anything about raisins? Is it bad for my pets? I'll call the vet helpline, and they'll say, yeah, you go to the emergency room right now because that's a problem. So again, it's one of those services where trying to make sure that people have the information they need to get the veterinary care they need.
Which is wonderful, because that's exactly what they said to me. You're going to hang up the phone now. and then you're going to go and you're going to take the dog. And I'm like,
right.
Awesome. Okay. That's one of these moments. Lovely.
Yeah, that's something that's included for every member, and it's something that I think a lot of people get a lot of value out, just knowing that they can pick up the phone and talk to a veterinary professional without having to worry about, is their vet open, are they going to be slammed or whatever else. So it's a great service.
It's a great service because pet poison hotline is there, but that's also a cost.
Yeah, it's close to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's kind of all rolled into one. And then the other thing I think people don't realize is how easy it is to submit a claim. Okay, and you actually get money turned around, and like you said, 90% comes back. Like me, and love points on a card.
Yep. So they just go straight to the website, go to petinsurance.com. They go to the submit a claim. You can do that on your phone. It's great, and it's one of those things where I submitted. We had one of our cats last year. We only have 4 cats. One of our cats last year had the amorphous cat disease, where it's like we don't know what's going wrong, but something's wrong, and so you can do $1,000 worth of diagnostics, and they say, and that's cats. That's what we do. But just being able to submit that, and 5 days later get a check was pretty great.
That is pretty great, because then you can worry about your cats and your emotional needs versus the financial needs.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and it was and David Howarth, I think, was the first one who really, to me, that cemented it, of saying, he said there's this conflation of medical and financial that we haven't. And as a practitioner, I'm like, of course there is. Every conversation is not just about medical, it's about finances as well. And the ability to detract those two things and say, let's put the finances aside for a second, let's focus on the medical and what exactly do we need to do? What is the best level of medicine that we can perform for the best outcome in this pet? It's as a veterinarian, oh my God, it's so great to be able to treat those pets. And as a pet owner, I have so many friends who've had great experiences with pet insurance and seen tens of thousands of dollars of claims where it's just they would have done it anyway, but they've had to mortgage their house. Right.
Or put aside the kids' college fund, or something. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I see a brand new puppy on the street. I'm just one of those people. Hi, cute puppy. You have pet insurance? I don't care. I'll give you free to go look up. I'll put it on your phone right now. And they're like, pet insurance? And I'm like, yeah, let me tell you about my dog, because he's the pet insurance poster child right now. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, go get pet insurance. Well, it's too expensive. So $35 to $50 a month is too expensive when an ACL for your large dog will cost $5,000 for one leg, and they usually blow $2. And they're like, really? Absolutely. And I'm like, yeah.
It's I think for people who are highly bonded to their pet and who have any degree of financial risk aversion, it's a no-brainer.
That's a
If you want to live
no-brainer.
fast and loose and gamble with what's going to happen, I mean, it's not for everybody. I accept that, but I think a lot of people who really want to make sure they're planning for their pet and don't have to make tough decisions around the finances around their pet's medical care, I wouldn't be without it again for our pets.
Not forever. I mean, it's only worth 7 to 10 beers or 7 to 10 Starbucks a month in cost
Right.
when you actually
I
compare it, right?
appreciate that you went to beers before you went to Starbucks. That's what I like about you, Kelly.
I know, right? You feel like for a reason, Jules.
It's
I
Thursday
want
morning, and you've already got beer on the brain, which is great.
it's it's noon somewhere, right?
It's true.
Pick your number, pick your poison. Pet insurance as employee benefit. That's also what I want to tell people today. You guys do offer that through companies, any size company. Like you could be a benefit for veterinary hospitals team. Yep. You could be you're for corporate America. You guys have plans for this.
Yeah. So the voluntary benefits side is really enormous. So we worked with the Human Animal Bond Research Institute a couple of years ago and did a pets in the workplace study, and offering employee benefits. I'm offering pet insurance as an employee benefit, allowing pets to come into the office, whether it's every day or whether it's a day every now and again. Like the impact to show as an employer that you care about people's pets and appreciate that human animal bond is enormous. So we certainly see that employers who offer pet insurance, it's not just a statement, it's a positive thing. It makes people want to work for you, it makes people not want to leave your company, it makes people want to come to work more. So I mean, all these things, it's a really I want to say important because I think it's important, but it's impactful. So I think as an employee, if you want to be very logical about it, it's impactful. Like if you want to offer it to your employees, it's smart to do so. It's not just a cool and right and moral thing. It's also super smart.
Right. It's the all-in-one package with the bow on top, basically, for employee benefit. It's a no-brainer. Speaking as an owner of a business, it's a no-brainer, right?
Because absolutely.
Pets are now part of the family, and so why would you kick them to the curb in your consideration, looking at the employee in a holistic manner? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know more about this than I do, Kelly.
No, I just read a lot. I read a lot. I talk a lot. I read a lot.
Listening wasn't in there anyway. You read and you talk, and you missed out the.
But I guess talking means talking to people and listening, what they have to say. I always enjoy that. I always like learning from people. Every human being has so much to give in the world. And if you just sit for a minute and listen to them and see their light shine, you will be better for your day. So.
Well, your light has brightened up my Thursday morning, so I appreciate it, Kelly, and thanks for having me on to talk to you. It's been a pleasure. When you and I usually chat, it's usually in a somewhat more it's even more informal. I was going to say more informal, but we're already informal today, so it's even more informal. But this is great. So it's great to have a one-on-one.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming, and I'm grateful that you're here in one piece and not stuck in the forest somewhere. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.